The power of faith and divine provision. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you trusted God completely? George Müller did just that, a man who changed the lives of thousands of children without ever asking for a single penny. Born in 1805 in what is now Germany, Müller's early life was far from virtuous. As a young man, he was known for deception and reckless living. He stole money from his father, spent nights in drunken revelry, and seemed destined for a life of self-indulgence. But his life took a drastic turn when he encountered true faith. This transformation was not just a change in character, it was the beginning of a lifelong journey of trust in something greater than himself. When he moved to England and became a pastor, he saw the plight of orphans on the streets, many left to fend for themselves in dire conditions. Rather than ignoring this suffering, he felt compelled to act. But Müller did something that was considered extraordinary. He vowed to never ask for donations, never take a salary, and never publicly reveal his financial needs. Instead, he would rely solely on prayer, trusting that God would provide whatever was necessary to fulfill his mission. In the beginning, his efforts seemed doomed to failure. It was almost unimaginable that an orphanage could be run without financial backing or an appeal for funds. But George Müller believed with all his heart that if he was doing the right thing, the means would appear when needed. And time and again, he was proven right. Unexpected donations came from anonymous sources, sometimes at the very last moment when the needs seemed insurmountable. Müller would pray, and before long, food, clothing, or other essentials would appear. One of the most famous stories of divine provision happened when Müller's orphanage ran completely out of food. The children sat at the table, their plates empty, yet Müller led them in prayer, thanking God for the meal they had yet to receive. Just then, a knock on the door. A local baker had felt a sudden urge to bake extra bread that morning, and he brought it to the orphanage. Moments later, another knock. A milk cart had broken down right outside, and the driver, unable to deliver his load, offered all the milk to the children. These miraculous instances were not isolated. They were frequent, and they happened throughout the years that Müller ran his orphanages. Over the course of his life, he cared for more than 10,000 orphans, built multiple orphanage buildings, and provided countless educational and medical resources, without ever asking for a single donation. The question then arises, how do we explain such consistent provision? Was Müller simply lucky, or was there something more at play here? This question leads us into the realm of philosophy. In many ways, Müller's life embodies the principles of metaphysical idealism, a school of thought that suggests reality is shaped by consciousness, perception, and belief. Philosophers like Immanuel Kant have argued that the way we perceive the world actually determines how we experience it. Müller's faith was not merely wishful thinking, it was a belief that reality could be influenced by a higher power. And because of this belief, he acted in ways that aligned with the idea that provision would come. This mindset created a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. Müller's unwavering belief in divine provision seemed to make it a reality. This idea is also closely tied to the modern concept of manifestation, the belief that by focusing your thoughts and intentions on a particular outcome, you can bring that outcome into existence. Müller's faith operated in much the same way. His constant belief in divine intervention brought tangible results. While some may call it coincidence or luck, for Müller, it was a direct result of his trust in a higher power. In a deeper philosophical context, Müller's story resonates with the ideas of existentialism, particularly the concept of the leap of faith proposed by Søren Kierkegaard. Kierkegaard argued that true faith requires a leap beyond reason and evidence. It is not based on what can be proven, but on trusting something beyond ourselves, even when it seems irrational. Müller's faith was not grounded in tangible evidence or logical reasoning. It was a choice to trust in something greater. And this leap of faith seemed to bring about extraordinary results. His life exemplifies the courage to trust in an unseen reality, and his faith shaped the course of his life in profound ways. On the other hand, his story can also be viewed through the lens of pragmatism, a philosophy championed by William James. Pragmatism posits that beliefs should be judged based on their practical consequences. In Müller's case, His faith was not a passive, abstract belief. It was a belief in action. The orphans were cared for, their needs were met, and the work of his orphanages continued because Müller chose to believe in something that, to many, seemed impossible. From a pragmatic perspective, whether or not divine intervention was involved is secondary to the fact that his belief produced real, tangible results. His faith worked, and that is what matters. Müller's story challenges us to consider the power of faith in our own lives. In a world full of doubt and uncertainty, can we embrace the kind of radical faith that Müller had? Is it possible that faith, when truly trusted, can shape our reality and bring about change? Some may argue that faith is simply a psychological tool, a way to help us cope with hardship. But others, like Müller, may see it as an active force that influences the world around us. The question becomes, if faith can lead to real change, does it matter whether the source of that faith is divine or human? Can we create our own miracles through belief? Müller's life leaves us with many questions. Do you believe that faith, even without tangible proof, has the power to change circumstances? Or do you think that events like the ones Müller experienced can be explained by coincidence? Can radical faith change the course of our lives and even the world in ways that we might not fully understand? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you're not subscribing to the Usafi channel, you're probably never going to see us again. But if you are, then congratulations, you're growing every day.